I honestly think there's a touch of misogyny in why this blew up as well. Don't sleep on the fact that there are so many apps being breached, so many massive apps.
Someone who was definitely lazy were the developers of the T app.
Oh yes. Good segue.
A T app is basically an app where girls could rate images of guys and write comments and give like green flags, red flags. And basically what they did is in Firebase OPSI, and that OPSI leaked 72,000 information about people,
including messages and images
and location,
pretty much everything.
I think IDs as well.
And what's also really, it's really bad because this app was made with the mission to help women or like protect women. It's essentially about rating bad guys in a way, or like be aware of bad guys in the dating world and talk about them. And you know, people have different opinions about it, but it actually hurt them.
Yeah, it turned them into a target.
Yeah,
it's important to say that this is, well, first of all, the CEO is a self-proclaimed CEO of a digital company who's only done 6 months of, coding bootcamp, right? So he wore that with pride on his LinkedIn profile. But this is a breach that happened on all accounts that existed before February 2024. So any accounts that were created after that aren't affected by this breach. But ultimately, there was actually two breaches. It was a two-step program. The first one was that they found all of just the images, the verification images of the people. So when you sign up, you have to take a selfie of yourself holding your ID, and that verifies that you're actually a girl and that you're actually a human. It was promised that those images would be deleted, but clearly not. It was a public bucket stored on Firebase. And because of the way the architecture of Firebase, it's kind of like an API and storage system built in. Normally on an app, you separate those. You have an API layer between the two. You never hit the database directly. But with Firebase, it allows you to hit the database directly. And if you hit a certain URL, it will list out all of the items in that bucket, which is something you can't do, or you shouldn't be able to do anyway. So what someone done, they found the bucket, and then they hit they found an image, then reverse engineered that to be able to hit the bucket. They got their list of images and then just downloaded all those images. So that was the kind of first step of it. And then someone found the actual information on these people, and there was a few apps created. There was a location app, so they pinned everyone's location in North America to find out where they all live. And there was the funniest one, which I don't know how I feel about it, but is a website ranking these women based on how they look, and using
it's cool, man.
Very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
And then there was a demographic one. I've even got the tweet here. Like someone put some demographics of the people, of the women that they found. What this means is I'm not too sure, but the point is, it's that the internet had a lot of fun. As cruel as it was, the internet had a lot of fun with these. It was a bit of a lame apology, saying I've got the apology here as well.
Is this a big company, or is it just that they happen to have tons of users?
Yeah, I don't know the size of the company. No idea. But it was doing okay. I mean, they had a wait list, but this is like
15,000 likes. It looks low effort, the image.
This is their vibe, though. I don't know whether it's like, I know what you mean. I would tend to agree, but you can tell their design is a bit rash and whatever. But this is the interesting thing. This data was stored to meet law enforcement standards around cyberbullying prevention. It didn't say anything about like data protection or anything like that. So yes, maybe, I don't know how you'd store an image to prevent cyberbullying. Maybe that is simply that another user cannot access your imagery through their account. Maybe that's what that means. But cyberbullying prevention isn't a well-established standard in the internet world, which prevents the hacking of data. That's why the ISO standards are in place. So it's a bit of a clusterfuck, to say the very least. There was speculation as well that it was a vibe coded app, obviously, because it's like in the midst of all this vibe coding like slop that's being put out. But again, because this is pre 2024, like February 2024, this definitely wouldn't have been a vibe coded app.
I would not say this is a specific issue to T. I think this is a general issue with Firebase. Theo made once a video about Eva. She's like a cybersecurity specialist, and she once ran a scraper through the entire web and found like 6 million affected Firebase in that sense with some kind of security issues where you could access the data. And it's like people just don't know how to use Firebase, and Firebase is like a gun which easily lets you shoot in a foot.
There was a lot of comments as well about the fact that Firebase pesters you because it's not trivial. Well, it is trivial, I guess, but like it warns you several times that this is wide open. You haven't got security rules and things like that. It's not a great platform for proper app development. Like I say, it allows you to access the database directly, but there are security rules in place. And this was it last year that there was because you have to put the API keys in the front end of your website.
Yeah. And you have basically like security rules where you write a JavaScript-like syntax. It's not JavaScript, it's just a JavaScript-like syntax. And then you have to write security rules. And these can be a bit more complicated because you have to check against the user ID, and I have to check, does you have access to this resource? And it's like,
yeah,
just have a server.
Here's a question I was wondering. Why is Superbase any different? Because I can access the database directly from the front end. I don't need to have some sort of API layer to query the database. Are you familiar with Superbase? Have you used Superbase?
A bit, but the reason why I like Superbase more is generally, from what I know, I may be wrong on this, but from what I know, you still can easily deploy functions with Firebase. If you want to deploy functions, you have to then go to Google Cloud and do everything. Like it generally doing things properly takes a bit of more work. That's why I first like Firebase more. I don't use Firebase that much. The second thing is, if I recall correctly, in Firebase you have more security, like generally, and it's like harder to shoot yourself in the foot. I may be wrong at it, but from what I recall, they generally have just more, just better security.
Well, you've got the functions aspect, but like again, I can just query the database, and you use policies to like prevent, and Firebase has its own interpretation of policies and things like that. But the point is like I can access Superbase in the same way that I can access. I don't need to go in through any sort of API layer. I think he's taken it down. He had in his thing here, he said like 6 months of coding under his belt, which he probably did not develop this app. Let's be clear. Like, I just think that was just being taken wildly out of context because it's whatever. But
this is one way of becoming famous. Make a super bad app, not secure at all, and you'll be famous.
I mean, there's tons of them out there. And as you said, like again, last year, there was so many breaches from just specifically the ruling around Firebase apps and the databases and object storage and stuff like that. It's just so clunky and easy to miss. Not easy to miss, but just like, most people just like leave it open or whatever. So yeah, there's tons of apps out there. I think this was just, I honestly think there's a touch of misogyny in why this blew up as well. Because first of all, it's like with the tech world, we're ruled by guys, so it was easy for us to, whether you have your own personal opinions on this type of app, but there are don't sleep on the fact that there are so many apps being breached, so many massive apps. It's a catastrophe. This is part of a larger conversation on my show, Cmd+AI, which we stream live every single week. We discuss the news and all things related to AI in the world of design and web. Catch us next week and join in the banter.